Hello, viewer, and welcome to Spotlight here on Hope TV, where you look and live. And on Spotlight, we always do our very best to bring to you persons who are impacting our community in the direction of light. And one of those areas that is very important, both locally, continentally, and globally, is the subject of the environment. And one of the main faces in this country when it comes to the matters of the environment is Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, who is the founder and chairperson of Green Africa Foundation. And also, he is the founder of the Green Thinking Action Party, which he's going to be telling us about shortly. And we're going to be talking the environment, which is a subject that is important to all of us. Again, do engage us on Facebook, engage us also as we engage here, send us text messages. Let's hear what you have to say about the environment as we welcome Dr. Isaac Kalua Green. Welcome.
Thank you, Reverend. I thought you would start by telling me how hope is home. How can we be talking other things apart from music and the men's chorale and praising the Lord?
And let's talk about the men's chorale. And for all the men's chorale of Sitam, we know that Isaac is one of your members. And so we send out lots of love, lots of greetings to you, salams to you as we have this conversation here. Yeah.
Thank you. No,
it's good to have you.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for the good work that you're doing. You're an unsung hero in this country. You're talking about me, but I think you're more of a hero than I am, because every day you're doing something extraordinary.
Very humbled.
Bringing up life stories that really impact the communities. May God refresh you.
Amen,
yes.
Amen. Very humbled by that. And I mean, as we begin this conversation, it's just right for us to start from the political front before we go to the matters environment, because you did found the Green Thinking Action Party. I mean, how is that going?
Very well. To answer your question, before I even tell you how I got myself to that, because we at least have about 40 some members of parliament right now. Not members of parliament, but aspirants across 31 different counties in the country. And we would have had many, many more. But again, we made it a little bit just difficult, not really difficult. We wanted to be a party with a difference. And therefore, we added and included a clause that required any aspirant to get a recommendation from a church or a community institution or persons, so that without that, you would then not be allowed to continue, because many parties is just a matter of, I'm vying, I want to get to this. So we lost quite a number of people just because they didn't do that, and we had to return money and tell them thank you, because if at least you can't have a church or a community organization supporting you to get to this, then it's an issue that because the rest can be dealt with DCI, with the Chapter 6 and all the others, but then the community bit must be handled by the community. So it's going on well. We have very enthusiastic aspirants. We have very powerful, the youngest member of parliament aspirant for Kajiado North, Anita Soina, doing very well. I'm hoping and praying that the community can give her a chance, because she has what it takes to change that entire constituency. And also in other parts of the country, including Kitui and in Busia and other parts of the country. As I said, 31 different counties are represented in all this in the competition.
Let's talk about that clause or that requirement about a recommendation, from a faith-based organization, a community organization. What was your goal when you put in that requirement?
Ethics. See, it's a party with 3 pillars. And the first one is ethical and effective leadership. The second one is transformational, or the process of economic development of a community that is sustainable. And the third one is the dignity of the household. The first one is most important. You see, leaders are leaders, and we find some of them just taking themselves ahead, and they have nobody following them apart from the money, which sometimes it's not very clean money. So at least you need some little backing, surely, Reverend, that there is a church that knows you, and therefore you can come back and say, Bishop or senior pastor, kuna muumini wako aliingia kwa siasa and he is accountable to us. But if you lack that one, at least, and you know, it's not easy, and it wasn't easy, and I was asked even by the team, and I am so grateful. You know, the party has attracted the youngest of all aspirants and membership. They mean what they say, and they say what they mean, period. And we said one of the things that anyone who does not meet that simple clause, which is not a requirement by the Registrar of Political Parties or the IEBC, then that person, we don't need him in our party or her.
And you see, when Dr. Kalua, when you talk about integrity, it's a huge subject.
Very huge.
And different political systems have struggled to raise the threshold of integrity in this country, which really means to tame corruption and create a culture of merit, and where systems predictably work. And it's so difficult. Yet we have such strong persons, but integrity is a difficult thing to deliver. What's going on there?
It's the will, trading of lies. People just lie on the face. And there are things that, basic commandments, I like the sermon on Sunday at Karen, at Sitam Karen that we went through, about being obedient. Obedience starts with the 10 Commandments, the simplest that we are supposed to do, because we are accountable to God after all is said and done. The fact that you have turned a politician or you are leading a political unit is not justification for you to deviate from what you are expected to do. The fact that I am doing what I am doing does not mean that I stop being the singer, the composer, the men's chorale that has preached and has gotten people coming to Christ. I am still accountable in that space. And therefore, it's a total process. And leaders in church have abdicated their responsibility. You imagine that when you're in church, you are holier than thou, and you are okay, and when you leave the church compound, things are supposed to be slightly different. It's about the politicians. I think this is something that we need to change, Reverend, because we need to be responsible in and outside, and to be serving day and night and every specific moment. And I'll give you a small story of my process of life, because many people, including you, may not know how come you all of a sudden turn to be a politician or what you have been able to do. My space in the environment, or the green space, first of all, green has 3 meanings. 1, treating people kindly. This is about good ethics, training on life skills, is about values. The second, green, is about sustainable livelihoods. This is about peace within communities. This is about good health, things that tell an African person to conserve the environment, you'll be left alone. Show them how to make money, and they will all go in that direction. Why waste time? Use that as a bait, and this is required even in the church. The third one is the passionate environmental conservation. Everything that we do around surrounds the environment. Our money making, our household development, our issues about economics, the growth of a nation, all is about environment. And if we manage that very well, the capital that we have that is so natural is abound for us. So having told you about the green, let me tell you what, because I started business or entrepreneurship when I was 19 years old. And at 21, I'd already established a business entity. and I was doing exports of handicrafts and other things. So from 1991, 10 years later, 1 decade, is a decade that as a young man, as an enthusiastic entrepreneur, I made a lot of mistakes. I chose not to repeat mistakes. I became experienced. The second phase, or the second decade, was a very interesting one, Reverend. And this was the decade that I became a problem solver. Any challenge that would come my way, I would not bother who messed up, who did what. Just like a firefighter, I would go to fight the fire and leave the space after the fire is gone and let other people deal with that. And that happened in my business life, in my entrepreneurship process, in my experiences, in everything. 10 good years as a problem solver. Then the third decade, which ended last year, is I found it to be a very interesting decade, because this is a decade that I appreciated that life is not about problem solving alone. Life is about synthesizing life experiences, professionalism, and talent towards common good. Anyone you see, any of your viewers tonight, they are all right from where they stand. It just depends on why and what they are doing at that specific time. So to answer your question on the politics bit of it, I took an account of myself for 30 years, and I asked, so Isaac, what have you achieved after the 30 years? I found that I only became a nice guy. And nice guys are just nice guys, Reverend. They don't take people anywhere. They're just nice. They are there. They are there. I mean, you need them, they appear. But they don't have real impact. You as a pastor, what you're doing here, there is daily impact that you're doing. And I wanted to achieve more than this. And that is where I found, because matters of environment, and maybe I hope we will get time to speak about some of these things where they end up in all this, is where I found that I need a vehicle to influence the space where things happen. The matters of constitution in this country, matters of policy and regulations, they all emanate from the parliament. Unless you are impacting at that space, you are just a nice guy. You will keep yapping from the sides and nobody's listening. You wake up, you find there's a new law that you did not know what happened and what led to that, and we have to comply. So my idea, and with very like-minded people, very great young people, I can never thank them enough, the Green Thinking Action Party members, people who are non-aligned, people who are looking at issues as they are. We are looking forward to get at least a few MPs, even if it is 1 or 2 or 3. And the duty that they do in Parliament every day is to deal with issues that impact the community, issues that can change our economy, issues that can create jobs for common good, issues that can create a lot of activities and engagements, entrepreneurship spirit, even as we preach the word of God, that people can be able to do. So that is the basis of the creation of the Green Thinking Action Party. And I invite you to visit the gtap.org so that you can be able to see, and also in my space of kaluagreen.com, where you can also see what I am doing on matters.
And the viewers are also hearing where they can be able to get more about that.
Yes, yes.
You know, now that we're talking these politics, we are listening to the different political parties. We are listening to the strong campaign voices, and hardly is the mention of the environment or climate appearing as a priority. I mean, what's going on there again? Because you would think that that should feature someplace, not lower ranking, but top ranking. Then the matters of the environment, given the concerns we have around drought, around water resources, around all that, and yet we can't hear the environment as a top priority. Just comment about that.
I'll answer your question by demystifying 3 lies that are so clear that you don't need a miracle to see the lies that are there. And because once we remove this veil of the 3 lies that I'm going to talk about, then we will be able to see the reality and approach things in a sober manner. The first lie, a big fat lie, is that there is a side of or divide of the politics that are old and young, and therefore you need a young person and an old person. And you find that I just did a quick analysis the other day, Reverend, and I found that for instance, I don't know whether it is okay to mention names, but I think it's all known in Kenya, so I will not.
As long as it's in the public.
Yeah, it's a public domain.
Yeah, in the public
So
domain,
take first of all the side of the presidential candidate in the name of William Ruto. And you find that take his age, take the age of his running mate, and take the age of his chief officer or chief. There is a new position which is not in the constitution that people are giving to each other, the chief minister position. The three leaders, take their age and divide by 3, it is 62. Go to the other side of the presidential candidate in Raila. Take his age, take the age of Mother Kalua, a great lady, take the age of Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the chief minister, and you find the age is 67. A 62-year-old and a 67, they are age mates, first of all. So let's demystify that. The youth is still missing. And we need to bring the government in a way, even if it's going to happen immediately after the election. If it is the BBI, it must happen immediately in the first year, so that the people who are called the youth are brought onto the table where they can join the 60s in place, because the other positions are just assumed that they will be there because they are not constitutionally there. So we need to get that done as soon as possible. Lie number 2, the issue of big political parties, small political parties. There is no big or small political party. It is the lens that you are looking at it from. First one will be the issue of the parameters that have been set legally. Every party goes through the same. You're just looking at maybe how many lies have you been told so that you are so many following one party. That does not justify to say it's a big political party. A party should soon, in the near future, after my point to you, you should be looking at a party from the point of its ideology and not the followership. Because as Christians, it needs to start from us, and therefore you need to be able to do that. So as soon as this is done, and you can be able to understand that there is no big or small political party, it's an ideology process as opposed to the number of things that you have been told to be many in one direction, then you need to start thinking, what can we be able to do to know what is right? The third one, as I finish this, is the big lie that you get politicians standing anywhere haphazardly without being in a position of understanding what they are saying. Promises, one promise after the other. I will do this for you, I'll do that for you. I will do this other thing. And before I tackle this one, just the second bit I was talking about the political parties. That is where you realize you're being told to a point that elect suit from 1, 2, 3, 4 President Bakachini. You will lose a great leader because they are in a small party that has been put in our mind, and you disallow an opportunity for you to understand what can be done. Because the greatest leader for you, and I will not be surprised if you don't know your MCA, is your MCA. Your president could be your MCA. Because that's a guy who's going to deal with your water, your roads, your everything. For instance, the people of Karen have an MCA who is a church young youth called Sudi, a guy that you have seen growing and doing everything. Why would the church and the people around that place go out and fight out for that kind of a person? Anyway, so we go to the issue of lies. I will do this, I shall do this. Your flat lies that are open. And what we need to demystify this with is to understand, if this person has been known, he has been tested. If a person has been a thief as an MCA, when you elect that person and he has an issue, he will just be a mheshimiwa thief. He will just be a honorable thief. He is not going to change. And it is for us as a church and leaders who are listening to your program to start demystifying this, so that, because nothing goes wrong. As one great leader from a place called Jackson Marty said, he said that nothing goes wrong, everything starts wrong. If you do not scrutinize the person that you are electing, if you just elect for the sake of it, that person will end up being the better thief, stealing from a higher platform from where he was, and you will have yourself to blame. And we then look so confused and look so stunned by the fact that, huyu mtu alitupro, did you scrutinize? Did you check their background, what they are? So these three issues, Reverend, is what we need to start. And I'm glad to be in this space to discuss this.
Okay.
You have your vote. There is nobody, you cannot be lied to. The groups and the people that you see in political rallies, some of them are paid to be there. Some of them are made to shout and to make noise. Some of them are just there to confuse you. Why would you be confused?
You see, when we are still at this, and we will still talk about the ranking of the matters of the environment in this campaign rhetoric and narrative, the people, the masses, they seem to, in a way, they don't mind the lies. They actually want to rally around the people who seem to bash others. Even, the worse you speak, and the more that kind of the worse you are, the more attractive it seems you are to the people. So can you talk about the people as well? Because these are the leaders. But if the people who sometimes jeer and sometimes cheer, if the jeer and cheer were directed in the right way, then would have a difference. The leaders will have no choice but transform. But here the masses, cheering, evil, cheering lies and, all that. Talk about that. Especially because you're in this space.
Yes, it's very interesting. And I think just we are swimming in a process that has been a status quo for a very long time. That we are known the way we think, the way we do things. And it is imagined that if we shout, if we just create some social media noise, if we all dress in the same color in a market, and the imagination and people's thoughts will be straight, this is the party that we are going to deal with. And we need to come out from that process to crack the idea, to demystify the process of why we are thinking. It's a choice. I think it's a human choice. At the end of the day, and that's why our political party, the GTAP, is talking about dignity of the household. We are all masses. We are 50 million Kenyans, 47, 50 million Kenyans. But at the end of the day, Reverend, we all end up in our household, in our house, in our homes, in our small community. What does not make sense in your immediate community, meaning your family, should never make sense in any other place. If you're going out there, if what you're discussing will not add food on the table, don't waste time on it, because it's going to take you nowhere. We need to start thinking community. We need to start thinking processes. What is the advantage of, who is the person who is going to lead in this kind of a process? Every single time that I wake up, I ask God to use me because I'm available to be used of Him in various ways. We have worked with the youth. You listen to the youth of this country. They have very small issues that are not being heard. And they are just kept there. Mtakuwa viongozi wa kesho. It does not happen tomorrow. There is so much mistrust amongst leaders. That's why you would see a leader like Mheshimiwa Kalonzo and others. They say, what you want me to have in this place, you must get it signed before I come to discuss with you. On the other side, you are lying, you are indecisiveness. It's because of so many things that there is so much mistrust that has gone back. It's time for people to think from their own household. what can we do that will place food on the table? What can we do that will deal with the water challenge that we have? The opportunity. People are lacking jobs. And yet jobs, if we spend the kind of time campaigning and doing the things the way they are, we would be totally different community, because solutions are available. Very small solutions that only need to be engaged, but we are blindfolded so that you don't see what needs to be done. So,
unfortunately, we always say, which is a truth, that you get the leaders that you deserve because you elected them. As a mass, you give them the most number of votes, and so now that you voted for them, then you deserve them, right? And we look forward to. I don't know how long the process is going to take, that movement from just the popular approach to the ideological approach, which is a journey. It's a whole journey and transformation in our politics that would really be significant. Let's stay with the green. And we noticed that you have a new name, Green, which is really relates to your passion.
Yes.
And let's stay also on the political podium. The environment doesn't feature as a priority. And that should be an issue that is of concern, especially for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. By the way, I feel very nice when you call me Green.
All right, I'll call you Green throughout this program. I'll call you Green. Yeah. Dr. Green.
You actually were born zero without anything coming into this world. And you end up living without anything. The impact that will be called your name is what you do while you're alive. The challenges that we are having in this country are things that are environmentally related. And in my definition of green, first one about treating people kindly, it is as important as the green, the third meaning, which is about passionate environmental conservation. If we sincerely treated each other kindly, we would not do the kind of things that we are doing today. We would not have money getting lost to the point of 1 trillion Kenya shillings on an annual basis out of corrupt practices. The people who are stealing with others whom they can see and they know, and that they know very well that this is dirty money. But because we are getting it and it is okay to get it, why not stand and say, come on, we got to bring this out for the sake of the youth of this country. The money that is being stolen, that is being misused, that is getting into direction without community participation is money that can change this country easily. We are crying of jobs. And by the way, I'm not talking about the cost of life, because you see now the politicians have made it look, oh, it is a Kenyan thing. Oh, things have been manipulated, that there is no money. It is not true. The situation is the same. Go to Tanzania. I was in Tanzania about a month ago. Go to Denmark, go to France, go to other countries. Cost of life is an issue that has gone up. And that is true. That is not what I'm talking about. Those are communities with efficiency. Our systems need to accommodate so that a public officer, and we have very efficient public officers. They're not corrupt, all of them. Few elements. We have tremendous police officers who come to our church and other churches in different places.
And one of the things I also appreciate is
that
even in the public service, we have extremely intelligent people in this country.
Very. Some of them, unfortunately, they are gagged because the systems are expected that you are not supposed to speak, and therefore you just look at other people. And I really like many people that God has enabled me to attract. They come and tell me, Isaac, this is what is happening. Articles that I write sometimes on a weekly basis about matters, environment and sustainability. People just come and say, Isaac, I just want to speak to you. And this is what is happening. I really feel bad. I want to get this.
Yeah, because one of the matters that has been raised severally on the global sphere, continental, national sphere, is that going into the future, water is going to be a really fought for resource. And that should be a concern. That should be a concern in terms of where we are going as a country.
True.
And I think those are the kind of matters that sometimes you'd expect to hear. Apart from the promises they're talking about, I'll do this, I'll do the other, I'll do the other. But in terms of securing this country, in terms of water and related resources. Mm-hmm.
And you see, every leader that you see and speak, the things that they speak are achievable. Mm-hmm. They are real, and they are most transformative. The little thing that is lacking is trust. They just look at this guy and they say, huyu kuna kitu tulisikia juzi kwa social media. There is something that we heard. There is something that we have heard being spoken about this person. And then it starts being twisted so that it does not work. So first and foremost, as I was driving at, is to create trust and to be dependable and to be that person who is ethical and person who can be trusted and therefore treating people kindly, even before anything else. I mean, talk about water in this country. How much water can't we have? It needs someone to stick out and do things that are crazy. Am I not the one who, when I talked about Mau, when I was the chair of Kenya Water Towers, at one point I was told that I cannot step into one of the counties in this country because what I am driving at, I am causing chaos in the country, and therefore I cannot. And it was such a serious matter that went very high in the government. But I stood to what I thought was right, and I eventually did one report together with my team at Kenya Water Towers, thanks to such a tremendous team. And we handed it over to State House. Today, years after, I am so happy when you hear the president say that we have now secured, and I am so happy that out of the same report, it is being implemented one after the other. And they are now doing the fencing, and therefore there will be abundance of water, and something is happening in that region. And the same must happen to over the 100 water towers that we have in the country.
Dr. Green,
yes,
we'll take a short break. And I like that when you talk about the environment, there are some things to smile about, because sometimes we don't think there are things to smile about, but we want to hear some more things about the environment and what there is to smile about, and maybe some of the things that are of great concern. Viewer, we are talking to Dr. Isaac Green, who is the founder and chairperson of the Green Africa Foundation, and also the founder of the Green Thinking Action Party. And we're talking about matters environment, matters politics as well. You want to stay here on Spotlight, here on Hope TV. We'll be right back.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content, of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
All right. Viewer, welcome back to Spotlight, and we are talking matters environment. And that's just before we went for the break, you were smiling about the water towers and the preservation that is happening, the process of preservation. And just explain to us a little bit more about what we will see in terms of the water towers in this country.
We have a very powerful team that's very independent. Even though they don't have enough money, I pray that they can be given enough budget in the Kenya Water Towers Agency. The Kenya Forest Service is doing a tremendous job, unknown to many people. The NEMA and all these institutions, they have the National Water Resource Management. Everything is laid out in terms of the processes and matters of the law that is available, and a lot has been covered. Getting better in advance is to unite and to get to merge the operations in a manner that every unit knows what the other is doing, because for many years there has been a lot of dislocation of activities. So one arm is doing something that the other doesn't know yet they're supposed to be, and I think that we are now past that, because there are very highly learned, experienced people where the government has invested a lot to bring them to understand what there is. So when I was talking about the Kenya Water Towers and the report that we did, at one point it was a very daring report. Unfortunately, also, the institution like Water Towers, they're supposed to be giving a quarterly report to the parliament. As to whether that happens is something different. At least we tried during previous times, and I pray and I nudge them to try and continue with that, because it is in the process that is supposed to be done, and even though the institution is being reorganized in a manner. But imagine how that process can be in terms of water. We have enough water in this country, by the way.
And we remember that there was a certain very jubilant moment in northeastern Kenya when there was this whole ceremony that demonstrated water coming from underground and jetting onto the surface. And we were told that there's so much water underground, enough to irrigate and also supply water throughout this country. But we don't hear about that anymore.
And the statement that I say, and I dare repeat again, that is we have enough water, is very careful statement. Not because that the country has stated that we are water scarce. You know, there are those reports that are just are scientific, and I respect science. The thing is that God has given us sufficient water. The rains that we do, if the water harvesting institution has enough resources to do what they can do, if the government does the dams that they are supposed to be done in the way they were supposed to and designed to be done, with all the resources that are available, if we had sufficient follow-up. For instance, we have more than 65% of boreholes in this country that don't work for very flimsy reasons. One of them does not have a pump, another one community disagreed, another one is standing, there is a borehole and there is no diesel because there was no sustainability for the same. 65% of the boreholes that have been dug in this country do not work. How can you explain that? Just because there is no system that is available to follow up this. The water that was mentioned there, even before we get to underground water like you're talking about, imagine if we did sufficient water harvesting. It is known that a human being takes so much water per day and uses so much water per day, 20 liters. A cow would be 50 liters of water or 100, and a goat is 50. And therefore you can easily calculate the number of domestic animals you have, the people that you have, the number of showers and everything, and then calculate the amount of water. You find people have a 10,000 liter of tank, and it does not sufficiently, it fills up in 2 days of water rainfall, and then soon after, the same people who are going 5 kilometers for water, they end up going there. Yet there is very little knowledge that needs to be put. Dig a hole there, put a plastic or do a small dam for your domestic animals. Make sure that your tank is 60,000. Have our banks and institutions working on corporate social investment to support families in a strategic manner that is so organized that they will receive this. in addition to what the National Harvesting Water Authority can be able to do, and we mobilize and we start up in a region, and therefore people can be able to do this, and therefore if you want to do your domestic plants and horticulture there, this is the water you do. Planning like you would plan for a business. But look at what is done. Water is left, it flies away and completely into the ocean with no plans at all, and then we are there crying, oh, hatuna maji, hatuna maji. We have had ministers for water over the years in arid and semi-arid regions. They have tried things, I don't know what they have tried that has not been supported. We need to go back and start identifying what is this that we have been doing wrong. Is it the leaders that we are putting in place? Why would institutions deal with processes of not having what they need to have? Why are we losing $1 trillion shillings, money which could be able to be used in various regions? Why are we crying of job opportunities? Why are we not creating market for specific products, very specific, so that we are not talking about building capacity or creating products that are not known where they are going to be taken? We can produce all these, put items in CE standards internationally so that our products can strategically go to a specific region.
Yeah.
We're talking about now what I have been writing about for many times, the one village, one product kind of a facility. You find people in a specific region easily can produce a specific product. Why not guide them and do this using water that you have done and prepared for them to deal with this, protecting the environment, create a market, and these people will be entrepreneurs that could be able, things that are so simple and doable. You don't need a magic or prayer. You don't need to go praying for God to bring rain when it rained yesterday and you did not save it.
Yeah.
You just let it go.
And so now that you mention God, Dr. Green, when it comes to the matter of conservation and the church, somehow the church doesn't seem to be on the forefront in terms of this conversation. Whereas, as you say, it's a church that's left to pray for rain when the water has run to the ocean. And this church also is in the community and should also be spearheading efforts of water collection and all that. Maybe you can be, especially from, given that you are in the men's chorale.
I think the church has done a lot.
The heart of the church, yes.
Give the church theirs. They have done a lot.
Okay.
At least I have been called umpteenth times to preach on the pulpit and to talk about Christianity and the environment. So this has been done. And I know a lot of people have been working on this. The disconnect is this. Things don't happen at the church. It is the people of the church that we need to take to the right places where things happen. You know a person very well like you. You offer yourself for a parliamentary seat, and people look at you, huyu acha tu, ni yule tu jamaa, and we laugh it off, and we miss the point. Things don't happen at the church. It is the church people to be taken to where things happen from. If you have an MCA who wants to go to the county government, we now have devolved money that can be planned by that person who is from the church, would make things happen. That is what we are lacking. We just remain nice guys that I talked about earlier on. Just what was
nice guys. And you see, when talking about the church, let's stay with the church just a little bit, because the church is able to build institutions, for instance, like a school beyond the pulpit and preaching. They're able to build institutions like hospitals, able to build institutions like so many schools, but this area of the environment. From your experience, what are some of these practical things that the church can do that can actually complete this, can create a new institution actually for the church, which is for the environment?
Let me start with this. When my mentor, Professor Wangari Maathai, passed on, I called on Kenyans to plant 71 trees, which is trees per year that the professor lived. And my imagination was that within 1 year, we will plant then 5.6 million trees, which are the number of 3-year-old trees, grown trees that we destroy in 1 day, every day. And Kenyans, by 1 year, even though I had imagined that they would plant 5.6 million trees, they ended up planting 15.7, close to 16 million trees within the year. Means Kenyans are really ready to do quite a lot.
That's good.
So they after that, one of the churches came and said, hey, Kalua, we have planted Wangari Maathai 71 trees. Sasa tupande gani ingine? Because they plant them in churches and all this. I said, okay. Together with other team members from Rotary and others, we said, okay, why don't we think about a new innovation? Plant your age. So if you are 35 years of age, go plant trees at your own space. Trees that you can make money from. Is it fruit trees? Is it ornamental? Is it for firewood? Is it for medicinal? All this. Plant those trees, secure them, move from the word growing, from planting to growing, make sure those trees grow. This concept of planting your age is a process that I request. It's so simple. Every church member
almost enjoyable.
Yeah, enjoyable. It is very enjoyable. I meet so many people. Oh, Kalua, I did mine. Here the photos, you know. And we throw them to Green Africa Foundation for them to record, because there is now a national secretariat for Plant Your Age campaign. So we give them to be able to share. This is a simple process. I have a church like Sitam Karen where I go. We have planted empty trees. We calculated, and I was given an opportunity by the senior pastor. I'm so grateful to Deputy Bishop Karita. Gave me an opportunity on pulpit. We said, okay, we have so much acres. The government requires us to do 10%. Let us do an evaluation. How many trees have we planted? Call the men, call the women, everybody. The trees are nurtured so well in that space. Every church can do this. How can you just go to a church yenye haina muti hata kama ni huko kwenye Oshago? Make sure that there are trees that are planted. Ask everyone that you meet, plant your age. Why must we wait for a national tree planting day? Listen to the number of events and innovations and ideas that are planted. When we move from adapt a tree from the school, plant trees for children, or trees adoption donation fund. You wonder, where is all this? Everybody is being called, lete miti yako, panda miti. Yet it's so simple. Kila mtu apande miti yake mahali iko. Let the government donate with the CDF money, with the money that is already at the government facilities. If you have planted 1,000 trees, get paid for the 1,000 trees. Why are you looking for a job if you are doing something that is saving the nation? And how many seedlings? I bought a Mercedes-Benz out of planting and growing seedlings.
I think the people are listening to that.
Yeah.
That it actually is quite productive.
Yes. You can plant orange. Leave alone even that I planted. We are talking of maybe 20 years ago when I did this, and not because I wanted to drive a Mercedes, no, but I wanted to show young people in Kenya that you can make money out of getting your hands dirty. I planted over 9 months period. We sold the seedlings, KAS 988J. We went and started the process with the bank so that it can be funded by the proceeds of all this, and eventually we paid it off. Yes, 4 days ago, I was in Muranga, in a place where one of the farmers called Maina has planted 250,000 various avocado trees, sell each for 250, and they are the highest quality. The man will bag 63.5 million shillings. He will be home. Avocado. They are called makorofia or makodofia.
Yeah, and the mention of young people also, and especially in the urban areas, because when you talk about environmental conservation, sometimes you think Moranga, you think Mau, you think, those outer rural-ish areas. Now, so many, about 5 million people in the city, of Nairobi, for instance, and other urban areas. When it comes to conserving the environment, what are some of the concerns that are purely urban that people can participate in?
Quite a lot. You see, like I have talked about, and I was among the team working together with the Ministry of Environment, the minister then, pushing on the banning of plastic bags. And I thank God that it got to where it got. And we don't expect the world to stop producing plastics during this time where we are learning about circular and green and circular environment. There are activities that can come out of these products. I have said this again umpteen times, Reverend. If the government today, you just need the right governor, you need the right president, and they order and say no government land shall be fenced. Now we're talking about, let's say now, Mau. Every government forest shall not be fenced with cement or wooden poles. It shall be plastic poles. You have no idea. First of all, I don't participate in collection of garbage. I say that's a waste of time, because people want to be shown how they can make money. The moment you issue such a decree that no government land shall be fenced with cement or wooden poles, you create a market for all the plastic that is around. You will actually be walking in danger in the street because people want to snatch that plastic bag that you are carrying to take it to the factory so that it can produce poles. They will dig in the land that is not utilized in a manner that you'll be surprised, taking all this in a specific center that is supported by the government. Youth working together, and they are producing poles in their hundreds of thousands. This is an environmental activity in a city. And it is making money. And you are solving a big situation with the waters and the fish and the cancer that we have in this country and so many things, ideas that are freely available. God has given us. But it lacks the churchman who has a person in the church offered himself to go for parliament or for MCA, and they're just looking at him because we are Christian. I don't belong to a political party. I don't have a vote. I will just go and vote. Why? You are just abdicating your God-given responsibility to take the right people to the right places so that the right thing can be done for the good of our country. And I can count so many activities that would create jobs in the hundreds of thousands within a very short time that are easily and can be done.
Do you intend to run for president?
Not now. Because I would not be, you would mistake me for just anybody else. And that is why I created a party. And I said, this is a party for anyone who wants to go there. If I stood and say that I'm vying just for the sake of filling a number, what would we be talking about? I want to create trust. I want leaders to come out and create trust. If there is a time ever that God will speak to call that we vie for a position in parliament or a position in governor or as a president of this country, then it will come at the right time. But what we must fix first in this country is the issue of trust.
Okay.
Solutions are available. Our people suffer because of lack of what? Isn't that in the Bible?
Yeah. And very innovative ideas there. And we're very passionate, definitely, about it. And just the matter of climate change, global conversation. And it is always mentioned in the context of worry that we should be concerned. The world is changing. The climate is changing unfavorably. And how does that sit with us here in Kenya at this particular time?
Tremendous, because the government of Kenya has committed to a global pact or an arrangement, a protocol that we must be able to commit to reduce our global emissions. And it does not take everyone to do a lot of things. It needs you to do a small thing. For example, I came to your studios in an electric car. I may be the only one. I may be wanting so many people to do this, but I stand to do that, to come on zero emissions to the studio. The whole day today, I drove to so many places. I've driven on zero emissions. Isn't it so easy for the government, being a host of the UN, starting with the President of the Republic of Kenya, the Ministry of Environment, to say that no car shall be driven in this ministry that is not electric, that we need to be able to drive? And it is not necessarily an expensive affair. It is a process that we need to understand why we are having this. Why is the cost? We must relate every danger we are having. The calamities, the number of people who are dying, the high rise of cancer, the afforestation challenges that we are having. We must link it all to the climate change because it is mostly out of this kind of a space. And issue a decree again. Issue laws that are going to be driven in a manner that everyone can go in this direction, not because the government wants you to go there, but because there is money to be saved, which means money that is earned, which means an increase to the family income and a job that has been created by others. Because challenges are many. I mean, how many, haven't we seen the drought that is in this country? Haven't we seen the rain havoc that has been caused in this country? These imbalances need to be dealt with by everyone, doing the small thing that they must be able to do every single day in a manner that is going to help our country.
Okay. You know, one of the things I like about your perspective is that you simplify things, you know, and you make things so accessible. It's as if you bring this air that if we were all intentional, our environment would not just be preserved, but will actually thrive with small things, sometimes big policy things, but that combination, we don't have such a bigger problem that cannot be solved. And
just because God made things to be that easy.
All right.
Life is not supposed to be complicated.
Yeah.
We only complicate it. We only complicate
it, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things that makes life complicated here in Kenya during the elections is high temperatures that sometimes lead to quite some collisions. And Dr. Kalua green being one meaning that you gave was the relationships of people. Would you talk to that camera right there and talk about peace at this particular time during this competitive season in Kenya? Your camera.
Interesting. You know, nothing is so potent as the silent influence of a good example. It is you to wake up and do that little thing that you must be able to do. You'll be abused. You'll be told so many things. But at the end of the day, you're accountable to God Almighty. Your vote that you have has never been forced to you. You went and collected it by yourself. If someone doesn't stand for peace, if someone doesn't have the name of God in the manner that they live, why waste time on that person? If you have doubts, why do you want to waste time and do what is ungodly? Be the Christian that you are in church, in home, and even on the ballot box. That is the change that is going to make this country to be a great nation for the future generation. All
right, great. A very fantastic, very hopeful conversation.
Thank you.
Because sometimes environmental conversations are very gloomy. They end up like we are about to sink, you know. But you have made it so clear to us that it's actually possible. We just need the will. We just need to open our eyes and see the big things and small things that we can do to make a difference. And all the best.
Thank you.
As you participate in this competitive season and with all the aspirants that are in your party, including the one you've talked about, the youngest.
Yes.
You know, all the best.
Thank you.
That.
And God be glorified
and
in
keep
what
singing.
you're doing. Yes, I have to.
keep
You know,
saying-
I told you every day I wake up, I say, God, use
Yeah.
me, I'm available.
And it's just
He
amazing
keeps
how you-
surprising me, the grace that he gives me
Yeah.
in running the business
You
that
do
I am
so
doing.
many things
Yes,
and
and,
still make it to the choir.
I'm so passionate for the environment and
Yeah.
what I'm doing with the youth of this country, with the border sector. You know, we have worked and God has done it. It is thriving today
Yeah.
because of our prayer that we have continuously done.
And our God is always working.
Yes.
So may
Yes,
that
always
spirit
Thank you.
continue
And glory
to,
to him.
operate in you
Thank
in a
you.
favorable way.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been talking to Dr. Isaac Kalua Green, and very clear, very hopeful conversation. Just look around. Don't just be thrown in the mind of anxiety about the environment. Just look around and you realize there's something you can begin to do right now that will make your immediate environment a better place. And most important, during this season, let's have green relationships.
Thank you.
Relationships of peace. This has been Spotlight. Thank you for watching.